In this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of July 29th. We got some big books on the list. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. And in this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of July 29th. Now, for those who don't know, Go Collect puts out a weekly article that analyzes the hottest selling comic books based on movement and eBay sales data. And like I like to do on Mondays, let's take a look at the list and see what's trending in the market. But before I get into the books, if you guys could drop me a like or comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel, do one of those things, and I would appreciate it. All right, that said, let's take a look at the article today. Of course, this article is always written by Matt Tuck, great contributor to Go Collect. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to do further reading, but I'm going to give you my analysis regardless. So this one is really interesting this week. We got a lot of big books to talk about here, but I like to start at the bottom and work our way up. And at the number 5 slot, we have Wolverine Limited Series number 3, up 952 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the 3rd issue of the Wolverine Limited Series, written by Chris Claremont and drawn by Frank Miller back in 1982. Of course, this is one of the first times Wolverine ever got his own limited series. In fact, this is the first time Wolverine got his own limited series. It would be a 4-issue run. Of course, people love this limited series. People love that issue number 1, one of the all-time classic Wolverine covers, drawn by Frank Miller. I saw a lot of people getting that book signed when I saw Frank Miller doing his signing in person. And what do you got to say about it? I mean, it's just one of the all-time classic series for one of the all-time classic characters. Now, it's really interesting that book number 3 made its way on the list here because there isn't necessarily anything too significant with regards to this issue, but this feels like it's one of those collector traps for this one here because, you know, a lot of people like to own that limited series issue number 1, and then once you start to own number 1, you start to think, maybe I can get issue number 2, and then you get issue number 2, and then sure enough, once you're halfway there, you're like, well, I might as well collect them all and get issue number 3 and issue number 4. So it feels like once you get the first one, our collector instinct takes over, and that makes everybody want to chase books number 2, 3, and 4. And I think in this week, that's one of the reasons why this book is picking up steam because, you know, a lot of people wanting to get their hands on this book, and it's not very expensive. I mean, if you're already a big fan of Wolverine and you want to get your hands on, you know, that whole limited series, why not grab these other books? You know, they're still classics, even though they don't have, you know, key significance with regards to their specific issues, but they're all-time great books, and it's an all-time great story. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see that this one is selling fair market value around the $400 range. And then at the bottom here, you know, you're not going to see this book slab too often, but typically speaking, this is a book that, you know, you could find on eBay raw, you know, at the low grade for $15, $20 or so. All right, let's go on now to the next book here. The next book is actually a really cool one. This is Batman number 251, up 961 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the classic Joker cover drawn by Neil Adams and, of course, written by Dennis O'Neil back in 1973. And this is a really awesome DC book. I mean, when it comes to wanting to own a classic Joker book or a classic Joker cover, for a lot of people, this is the top because, you know, of course, we all know that Joker made his first appearance in Batman number 1. And for most people, you know, you're not going to find that book for less than, you know, 6 figures. So a lot of people want to get their hands on a great Joker book. And for them, this is the book to get right here. This is one of the classic covers of all time. And one thing that's really cool about this book is that this book is often cited as being sort of like the reinvention of the Joker character. Because prior to this point in 1973, the Joker was always, of course, a villain, but he was sort of like, you know, playing his role of like this clown bad guy that, you know, Batman and Robin would always kind of slap around, and he'd be sort of like the butt end of the joke to their heroic antics. And in this book right here, they would actually sort of revamp the Joker character to have him be that sort of murderous, villainous, crazy villain that we all know and love today. So for that reason, this is a very significant book when it comes to the Joker characterization and just one of the most amazing covers of all time. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see that there are fair market value 9.8 selling around the $12,500 range. And then here at the bottom, of course, you know, you're not going to see this book slab necessarily at the 0.5 level, but when I go into eBay and look at this book at the low end, you know, it's still going to set you back about $125, $150 or so. All right, let's go on now to the third book here. And the third book is also a very cool one. This is Captain America number 117, up 964 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, you guys know this is the first appearance of Falcon. Of course, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Gene Colan back in 1969. Falcon, of course, Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie in the MCU, was, you know, the partner in crime next to Captain America. And of course, this is a book that got extremely hot coming off the heels of Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we saw Anthony Mackie play Sam Wilson, the new Captain America. And of course, when you have sort of a notable event like that in pop culture, everybody is going to be wanting to get those books. There's probably a lot of sales going on during Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then after the show, that's when everything starts to cool off. The book starts to, slow down. Numbers start to have their correction. And then to the point where now we're a few months removed from the show, and it feels like everyone is seeing that, hey, the prices have stabilized. Let me go pick up that Falcon book that I actually really wanted as a result of the show. And you're seeing a new volume of sales. And that's probably one of the reasons why this book is popping up here on the list today. And that kind of just goes to show that, with these MCU properties, with everything getting super, super hot, during the, movies and during the trailers, or all while it's going on, you really want to find the books after, a few months have passed. And that's where you can find the dip in the correction. But regardless, this is still a classic Silver Age book. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll look at the 9.8 selling fair market value around the $39,000 range. Of course, that was a sale back in 2016, or last sale back in 2016. This one is interesting here, 9.6 going 92.50, sale here in June. And then at the bottom here, of course, you won't see the book slabbed necessarily at the lower than a 2 or whatever. But generally speaking, when I go into eBay, again, this is another book that I see selling around that $150, $170 range at the low grade, depending on the deal that you can find for yourself. All right, let's go on now to the next book here. And the next book is actually a very, very cool one. This is War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas, #1, up 966 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, there's quite a few things here. Of course, this is a book that was written by Greg Pak and drawn by Billy Tan, came out in 2019. And of course, this is the first team appearance of the New Agents of Atlas, a team comprised of Shang-Chi, Jimmy Woo, Amadeus Cho, Crescent, Io, Luna Snow, Arrow, Silk, Swordmaster, and Wave. Of course, all of the Asian superheroes here. And this one has been a really, really hot book recently because Kevin Feige has actually made an allusion to the fact that there is going to be a Southeast Asian sort of superhero team or some kind of superhero coming out of that region. And that got everybody speculating that we might see a version of all these superheroes in the MCU in some kind of way. Of course, we already have Jimmy Woo on the table. We know that we're getting Shang-Chi. A lot of talk of Silk coming, although she sort of belongs to the Sony universe. Here we have Wave, a Filipino superhero. I think that that's pretty cool, of course, because I'm part Filipino, so I got to show love to her. But it's interesting to think, when are we actually going to see this team make its way into the MCU? I mean, we know that we got Jimmy Woo. We still got to get through Shang-Chi. We got to introduce some of these other characters overall. How are we going to get these people on the table? So this still feels like a spec that, is a couple years in the making. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll just get, an announcement that, next year we're going to get a Disney Plus show called New Agents of Atlas. I don't really know. Of course, nobody really knows. But if we're looking at the MCU formula of how they introduce characters into other properties and then eventually group them together into a show of some kind, it feels like this is something that, isn't going to come for, another 2 years or so. But still a very, very cool book, a very interesting, superhero team, and one that could definitely, you could definitely see Disney wanting to bring into the fold in some kind of way very, very soon. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see that there are fair market value 9.8 selling around the $170 range. And then down here at the bottom, of course, is a book that came out in 2019. So you're not going to see too many slabs right there. But typically speaking, when I go into eBay, this is a book that you could probably find raw at the high grade around the $100 range or so. All right, well, let's go on now to the last book here and the hottest book of the week. This is actually going to be Giant Size X-Men, #1, up 977 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, you guys know, of course, this is the first appearance of Storm. This is the first appearance of Colossus. This is the first appearance of Nightcrawler. This is the first appearance of Thunderbird. This is the new X-Men team that came out in 1974, written by Len Wein and drawn by Dave Cockrum. And one of the all-time grail books when it comes to wanting to own blue chip Marvel comic books is this one right here, GSX #1, Giant Size X-Men #1. And this has been a book that has been extremely hot in the market, for the last year or so. This one alongside X-Men #1 and Hulk 181, all of the books that are important key books to the X-Men characters have really, really skyrocketed and shot up. Of course, we all know the reason for that is that, Disney was finally able to acquire Fox and essentially reacquire the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four. And that kind of caused this gold rush of everybody wanting to get their hands on the FF keys and the X-Men keys, etc. And, you know, speculators are going to speculate, right? Like, even though we know that these things are going to come, you know, the numbers that are being charged for these books have like hit levels that feel like these are numbers that you should be charging for things that are actually in the MCU or actually currently on the screen. I mean, it really doesn't leave too much of a ceiling, you know, with regards to like how much people are paying for these books. But you never really know. I mean, of course, you know, with the hype of when we actually see them in the films and stuff, that, you know, who knows what the new ceilings could be. But I think for a long time there was a really high prices for a lot of this stuff, and then eventually with the, you know, the last couple of months of the summer here, there's finally started to be that correction overall. There started to be a little bit of a dip. I of course had Automatic Comics on my YouTube live stream last week. If you guys didn't get a chance to see that, go check it out in the VOD. I'll put a link in the description. But he, you know, always talks about, you know, the markets and does these market analysis, and he was talking about this book and X-Men #1 seeing those heritage auctions starting to take a dip. So what happens when, you know, a certain book starts to have a correction in price? Well, you know, those people that were waiting for those, you know, corrections, the people that were waiting for, you know, a certain FMV to hit, they now jump into the fold and start making those purchases. So I think what we're seeing right here with this week is that this is a book that finally had its correction, and now all the people are thinking, hey, now here's my chance to get that book again on the dip. And incidentally, that makes it the hottest comic book of the week with the amount of sales that are going on. And as we dig into the numbers here, we'll see there is a 9.8 on the census, fair market value around the $60,000 range, last sale in July of 2021. And you can see this is a hot book overall. I mean, you see July 2021, June 2021, June 2021, July 2021, July. So, you know, a lot of sales going on, especially at the high end here, you know, all up and down the grade level. And here at the bottom, of course, you know, Go Collect has this, you know, fair market value 0.5 around the $1,800 range. But honestly, I think that you would be hard pressed to find this book for less than $2,000 at this current stage, just because it is so hot, so popular, and there are so many people that want to get their hands on it. And honestly, I mean, how can you blame them? I mean, it's an amazing book. X-Men, one of the most popular teams, one of the most popular superhero groups in all of comic books. And when we get them into the MCU, who knows what the ceiling for these books are going to be. Well, that is all I have for this video. Those are the 5 hottest comics of the week for Go Collect's Hot Comics. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any of these books? Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video.